to. And so, and so I just kind of grew up in the church singing, and then as I got to be a teenager, started hanging out with Walter Hawkins and
Yes, sir.
Ed
Edwin. Yes,
Hawkins,
sir.
Danny Hawkins, and Tremaine, and they were a little bit younger, but Odia Coates that sang "Having My Baby" with Paul Anka,
Right, right.
Bishop Mathis Church, and what was the sisters, the Andrews sisters? They were a little older, and
Right.
then they had I can't think of the name of those girls, Alice and all of them. I can't think of their names right now, but they were sisters, and so I'm just hanging out with all the various people, and so I sang gospel, but mostly I was a teenage preacher.
Wow.
Folks didn't know that I was a teenage preacher from maybe about the age of 16 to about maybe 20. Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
Wow. You can preach a little bit?
Oh, I could do a little something. I used to study, study the Bible, religiously, and but I think at that time, the church was so strict. We couldn't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it caused me a lot of it caused a lot of issues in my life because I kind of like interpreted the Bible literally. And
Okay.
so,
Okay.
as a consequence, we couldn't go to the movie. I was so glad when Ben-Hur came out. I was trying to go to the movie, but we couldn't go to the movies. Then I went to play sports and things like that. I mean, so I look at it now. Sometimes I think some of those old folks had, they had it. They were onto something. They call the television the one-eyed demon.
Right.
And
Yes.
I look at that TV now. I say, oh yeah, the old folks
They-
knew what they was talking about. Yeah. So so much development on that.
Yes,
television.
sir.
But yeah, so I sang gospel around, and Eric Lyons and
Yes, sir.
just all of those people that great gospel singers that I grew up around in the Bay Area, and the Stewart family, Sly Stone's family.
Sly Stone.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yeah, so I had a great opportunity to be around people and to learn and to listen.
Yes, sir.
And and have a lot of great influences.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's amazing to me how almost all singers come from the gospel. It's almost impossible for especially an African American who is now in maybe secular R&B for not to not have come through the way of the church.
Oh yeah, not only in music, but a lot of the people who are in industry, the churches seem like to be like a generator that generates.
Yes, sir.
You look at a lot of people who are big business people and things like that, and they come out of the church.
Yes,
So
sir.
the church definitely is an important part of our community.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. And so you ended up with Tower Power. How did that come about? I mean, after you kind of matriculated through the church, you started singing in different secular venues, and then you heard about Tower Power, you auditioned. How did that come about?
Well, I was in college, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, let's go over to the Showcase Lounge on Thursday night. They have a talent show over there."
Okay.
And he said, "You could win." And he said, "I'm going to be your manager." And his name was Clarence Anderson. And so we'd go over there, and he signed me up, and I sang, and I sang I Was Made to Love Her by Stevie Wonder.
Uh-oh.
And then I came back and I sang A Change Gonna Come. And I won every time.
Did you?
And the only time I lost was one time a woman was dancing. And so what happens is that when you win, then you have to come back and do a repeat perform. You have to come back and do another song.
Okay, okay.
And so I had read what Fred Astaire said that no matter what a man does, when a woman is dancing in her glory, you just can't outshine her.
Right.
Yeah. And so I said, if that was good enough for Fred Astaire, it's good enough for me. So that was the only time I lost, because all the guys wanted to see her dance again.
Right, right.
So one night I was there, and this guy named Ray Shanklin, who worked for Fantasy Records, was there, and he asked me if I'd like to make a record. So I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'd like to do that. And so then he took me over to San Francisco, and I met Saul Zantz, who eventually, I think at that time he was just the accountant for Fantasy Records, but he basically owned that and did the movie Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus.
Oh, wow.
And all that, right? And so I went over there, and I met John Fogerty. He was working in the stock room right before Creedence Clearwater.
John Fogerty was in the stock room?
John's in the stock room, right, yes. And so I made a record, and the record didn't really do a whole lot, but I just started learning about the music business, and And then a friend of mine asked me when was I going to do a show, and I was like, I'm gonna have a band. I never had a band or anything. So she introduced me to this mailman who was a part-time promoter and managed bands. So he said, I'm gonna take you out to Fremont. I got a little band that you might like out there. So he took me out and introduced me to this little band called the Motown Soul Band. But half of them were in high school, so we rehearsed a couple of times, and then nothing really came of it. And then fast forward a few years later, I was hanging out with Larry Graham. Me and Larry became very good friends.
Wow.
And we were writing songs, and Larry's like, we gotta put some horns on this stuff. You know, let's call this band called Tower Power. So they came over, and then when they walked through the door, I'm like, oh, I know this guy. I knew when they was in high school.
Oh, wow.
And so we kind of reunited, and I started writing for the band.
Oh, wow.
And then eventually they had problems with their singer, Rick Stevens, who, well, I guess it's no secret, you know, he was a heroin addict.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, so they were having, you know, different issues with him.